Hello everybody, and welcome back to LRC for round number 6 of Season 6 here in Tier 1 in the Styrian Alps. My name is Coolest, and I'm happy to be joined in the commentary box once again by Alpha Max Nova.
Welcome back guys, it's me, the EP commentator, and today we are here ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. And as you can see, qualifying is starting to get underway. It's a cloudy day here in Austria and we expect some rain, either here or during the race. So as usual, it's not gonna be a normal race like you usually know, let's say.
Yeah, we have rain forecast in both sessions. Initially it's going to be at the end of this qualifying session. There is forecast to be rain coming, and judging by the onboard view of the sky, that seems to be pretty accurate. So yeah, everybody predictably is straight out of the pits. We've got a sea of cars making their way around turn 6 already here. I'm going to have to turn up my game sound quickly. But yeah, the action is going to be underway immediately here because, like we say, rain is forecast for the end of this session, so the lap times need to be in straight away, really, and as good as possible. No time for any bankers. So first one up is going to be Tamer, and yeah, we've got everyone following him after that.
Yeah, the lucky thing is that Austria is not really a long track. Like, the lap time usually is 103, 104 maybe. Depends on, of course, either if the cars is maxed out or if you're racing in multiplayer. But due to the length of the track and the fact that there are all the 10 corners, you know, having some spits of rain during your qualifying lap may not really ruin it. But still, it would be quite suboptimal. So people still are gonna try and do their fastest lap as soon as possible, because if rain comes, of course, it's kinda useless to try and beat a dry time with the wet tires, because it's not really possible with the lack of grip.
Yeah, well, it's going to be quite tricky to call, obviously, because the rain can start to fall at any moment, and luckily that hasn't started just yet. You can see from onboard the chassis of Tamer, you will see that's where you'll first see the drop start to fall, but yeah, none so far, so that means everybody's first lap should be coming in cleanly, and it's Tamer going to set the benchmark with a 1 minute 3.7, and let's see what everybody else can do behind him. I think the two drivers immediately behind him actually invalidated their laps. So yeah, it's going to be Bimpo in second place at the moment.
Spits of rain. I'm seeing spits of rain, so I think it started already.
Yes, it is. Indeed. Spits of rain immediately, and looks like Fury's going to be on his way back into the pits. He's reserving for Williams today. And yeah, so that means it's going to be extra important now for everyone to get their laps in. You can see Leland, the full-time Alpine driver, I was mistaken in that last time, makes his way across the line. Only a 1 minute 5.5 for him, so that's not ideal considering the rain is, like we say, starting to fall. Afari, meanwhile, he's purple in the second sector according to the game. Don't know if that's going to be true, of course, but yeah, might be starting to lose a little bit of grip through sector 3 here. You can see he's a bit wide through Rint at turn 9 there. Out of the final corner he'll go. And let's see what the McLaren can do on potentially his only lap. He goes P5, so not terrible, but yeah, it might be a very mixed up grid here.
Yeah, there's of course a little bit of like tenths lost because of sliding, or, you know, generally not having grip due to the fact that it started raining mid-lap. So maybe the fact that he had the purple first sector is due to the fact that he started lap dry, then rain came, and then he lost most of the time because the car started sliding during the corners, especially here in sector 2, because this is probably the only reason you may need a little bit of downforce here in this track. And yeah, now that the rain is out, I think we probably have like the first 12 position kind of locked out. Then people can still fight with the inter tires for P13 up to P20, let's say P18, because right now we know who's gonna start last. But yeah, that's gonna be quite an interesting race, of course, and it's gonna be quite an interesting qualifying, even though right now I think we're gonna have quite a set position because of the rain.
Yeah, it's quite hard to call him. We also just had Tinblish retiring from the session without setting a time, so I'm not sure if he had a qualifying ban to serve or what, but yeah, he's going to be starting from the back of the grid then, and Cooper makes his way back into the pits. He's not been able to set a good lap just yet, so yeah, it might be a bit tricky for these drivers now. Obviously though, it's important to mention that the crossover point, compared to how wet the track actually looks, can be very deceptive on the F1 game. It's you can sometimes have a track that looks like, well, not basically just short of a lake and still be suitable for dry tyres. So yeah, it's possible that we will still see positions changing and improving, but yeah, the longer the rain starts to fall down, then the less likely that will be, and we currently have most of the drivers back in the pits, so I wouldn't expect any changes anytime soon.
we just seen in action one of the biggest memes of the Austrian track, which of course are track limits.
Indeed.
And as we saw the Aston Martin invalidate its own lap by going a little bit wider before the Sector 2 corners. And now we can also see the AlphaTauri completing a lap in 106, and I think he's going for another lap, even though he has no battery, so I don't think it's really worth it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the other Williams of Fury, who is, I believe, making his LRC debut today, just reserving, like I said, he's out on his second lap. He actually abandoned his first lap of qualifying, so it's not going to be ideal conditions for him. And meanwhile, we've got our first mistake, it seems like, coming in from Davey. He's gone off at turn 7 there, or turn 8, I should say. And it's going to just about make his way back onto the track. But yeah, you can see drivers starting to fall foul of the conditions already. It's clearly not optimal right now, and I Like Trains, I think, was a good example of that. He's normally a bit further up the order than P14, so I think the grip is really starting to go for these guys. Fury was a bit wide there and really compromised his exit, so yeah, you can see puddles starting to form on the circuit, so that might just be the end of qualifying already here in terms of the competitive order, so we'll see if anybody fancies going out on some intermediate laps, because it might actually be a bit of a useful idea to do so, since we are also expecting green, like we say, at the start of the Grand Prix, so might be a good idea to get some testing in then. But yeah, we'll see who decides to do that. And coming through the final corner now, running wide, somehow keeping it within the track limits according to the game, and yeah, still only able to go P15 as Fury, so that is going to be it then in terms of competitive laps in qualifying, and that means that it is going to be, once again, LES on pole position, the championship leader by some 48 points, is in prime position for this race now.
So guys, welcome to one glorified session of free practice for the race. People, I think, are going for the intermediates, like we see Tamer, I think he went for the inter tires, and they are now testing to see how the grip and you know, how the track is under wet conditions, to get ready a little bit on how racing will be here. Because we expect, as we said, I think like 3 times before, we expect rain during the race, so people are gonna be struggling. And if you ever seen our race here in Tier 1, you will know that usually things get a little bit, how can I say it, like, not exactly clean. We expect some safety cars usually, so I wouldn't be surprised if after lap 1 we see a safety car, so get ready, lads. Let's just say that.
Yeah, the drivers like to get a little bit quirky at race time. That's, I believe, how they say it. But yeah, we've got Passman Ryan making his way through on the intermediate tyres here. Like we say, going to be no more improvements time-wise, so we'll just see what these guys can do in terms of learning the track on these intermediate conditions. Obviously, this will be quite useful practice for them, I would imagine, since in time trial you can't actually use any kind of wet weather conditions, so you have to do Grand Prix mode, as getting a big old slide there was the Haas driver, so makes a good job of saving that. But yeah, I would have to suspect that Ryan might be a little bit slower to get to grips with this track than the rest of the drivers. That's nothing against him, but yeah, he only joined the league about, well, it must be about half an hour ago now, so yeah, he's quite fresh in here, not coming in fully prepared like the rest of the drivers will be, but we'll see what he can do, and he's got himself a pretty solid starting position up in P8, so we'll keep an eye on him through the race. But yeah, like you say, it is just a glorified test session now for the remaining 8.5 minutes of the session, and yeah, we get to get a look in at the drivers and see, well, maybe just maybe get to see who's gone for a little bit more of a compromised setup and who might be doing a bit better in the wet conditions.
I feel like it's gonna be also an interesting race under the point of view of the points that are gonna be aware that, not mainly for the driver championship, but for the constructor championship, because in this race right now, in the fact distance, Ferrari and Williams, not Ferrari, Williams, McLaren and Williams are tied on points. So, you know, it's crucial that Fury, even though he's a reserve driver, has to get into the points during the race. But at the same time, Peckham Bolts and, of course, Afari have to outscore Williams if they want to, you know, try and keep the championship, constructor championships alive. So it's going to be quite an interesting race on that point of view. So keep an eye on those drivers, of course, and keep an eye on the leaders, because as we saw in the first few races, Lamau, yes, Tamer and Loris also sometimes can be quite some fast drivers. Also nothing, of course, to say against Bimbo. Also, he can be a very fast driver too.
Yeah, and Hashim there, just or Hashim, I should say, making a bit of a mess of the pit lane entry, but makes it in one piece, which is the most important thing. And yeah, I'll see if I can, well, I'm not sure if there's really any way for me to pull up the current times of the drivers, unfortunately, so we can't exactly get a great idea of lap time, but I suppose we can just do our best attempt at analysis from on board, and like you say, Williams are one of the 3 teams who are really involved in the constructors fight, and Tanner, I guess, is one of the drivers still technically within the scope of the Drivers' Championship fight, but obviously quite a long way behind Elias, who has secured himself P1 once again on the grid today, so we'll see what the Williams driver's able to do, and maybe, just maybe, with a bit of luck, he can keep his title hopes alive, so we'll see how that goes for him, but yeah, just making our way around on the inters at the moment, and getting a bit slidey on the exit there is Tanner, but seemingly keeping everything all under control so far.
Also, it's quite funny because, Austria is just 10 corners, nothing really too big, too complex here. But those corners can really test your skills because you can actually decide to go for a low downforce setup due to the fact that there are many straights here. But if you do that, of course, in the Sector 2, will be very, very slow, very, very vulnerable, let's say, to other attacks and braking maneuvers. But at the same time, if you actually decide to go for more downforce, here in qualifying you can actually be stronger, but you'll have troubles trying to overtake people who went for lower downforce during the race. So this is also a battle of setups, that's for sure. And I don't know how, I mean, it's going to be probably amplified by the fact that during the race it's going to be wet, so DRS is going to be a little bit disabled. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to pan out, especially in the first few laps, and then how it's going to go when the race starts to get into the wet period.
Yeah, and a good point there about the lack of corners around here, and what that does mean is that each of the corners that there are around this track is that bit more important, so you've got to really nail everything here to try and string a good lap together. So we'll have to, keep that in mind in the race, and it is obviously a compromise of setups that's made even more tricky by these wet conditions, and you can see Afari there invalidating his lap, not that that will matter to him, but yeah, the track limits I suspect are going to be perhaps a bit more of an issue in the wet conditions than they would have been otherwise, so that's another point to keep on top of. That's you're probably getting used to that now after having Qatar and Imola as the previous 2 races, so we'll see how everybody fares this time around. But yeah, we've got 5 more minutes left in the session, and then we can finally get on with what should be a very entertaining race ahead of us here, because I mean, it's going to be quite hard to call the strategy, especially if we have things like safety cars and stuff like that, because it's almost entirely dependent on when the weather switches from wet back to dry, which is what we are expecting. So yeah, if it's earlier on in the race, then we may still end up with a mix of strategies. Some people might try and take hard to the end, some people might commit to a 2-stop, so yeah, should be quite interesting, and obviously with the added challenge of just trying to survive the conditions on what is quite a tricky track, especially when it comes to traction zones, and where you'd be expecting a lot of side-by-side maneuvers to be going on, especially once the DRS comes out.
And speaking of side-by-side and everything, I think we should also give, let's say, a little bit of spotlight on what will probably be the overtaking spots on this track. So, as you may know, here turn 1 is going to be, oh, there's an S going a little bit, let's say, sideways. So as I was saying, turn 1 is probably going to be one of the first overtaking spots, even though it leaves you vulnerable for the next straight, considering that it has DRS. Then there's of course turn 3, which is probably going to be where we're going to see most of the overtaking maneuver. Turn 4 also can be an overtaking spot, and then if you're brave enough, turn 9 can be an overtaking spot, but I don't actually suggest it because, it's quite a fast sector, and going side by side there could actually end up quite badly for every driver. Then, taking back what you said before, of course, strategy is going to be quite important, and mainly one of the things we'll have to see is how soon is the weather going to get wet, because if it's going to be very, very soon, I think we're going to see many people go for the soft tires and try and go as fast as possible before going for the wet weather tires. But if I know this game well enough, I think we're going to probably see many people on the medium tires trying to extend as long as possible until the wet, which is going to be probably halfway through. Still, we have no information yet on how the weather gonna pan out, so we can just speculate for now, while the rain is actually falling during qualifying.
Yeah, well, I mean, the information that we do have is that it's probably going to be basically what you said, but flipped in reverse, because we're expecting rain at the start of the race and then dry come the end. So, we'll see. I mean, I suppose it's entirely possible knowing Codemasters. They might just completely lie. Is now off the track and well into the gravel. I believe that's a Fari there, actually. He's making his way back into the track. So yeah, you can see quite a few people starting to fall foul of the tricky conditions here, and I suspect that is just a sign of the fact that a lot of drivers will be running, I suppose, dry-favoured setups is probably the way to phrase it, and now we've actually got another mistake, which I think is from Loris. Yep, indeed it is, up at turn 8 there, so this is probably going to be the hotspot for mistakes. That 7 into 8 section is especially tricky in the wet conditions. It's already can be quite tricky in the dry, but yeah, in the wet especially. And that makes, I think, 3 drivers now who've fallen foul there. And actually, at the pit entry, one of the Aston Martins, that Slinks, has made his own mistake. So, yeah, tricky conditions definitely here, and that might be quite a big factor in the race.
Yeah, as you pointed out, rightfully, a dry weather setup, so probably a little bit less downforce than usual, and wet track can end up in what you're seeing right now with this Red Bull. So the rear of the car getting a little bit loose, and then the wall getting a little bit closer than you may like to the car. So it's gonna be quite an interesting start of the race, quite a chaotic one. And then when the weather switches to dry, then we're gonna see probably the best kind of racing we can expect from these drivers.
Yeah, and we just saw a little bit of a sketchy moment there for the Red Bull, who was just trying to get out of the way of the Mercedes, but not sure. There seemed to be a bit of an altercation. What you don't want to do at this point is pick up any kind of penalties for blocking in qualifying. Obviously, nobody's really on fast laps, but yeah, you want to avoid contact. That is obviously still very much possible with having this many cars out on track, so don't want to give yourself any rough time with the stewards before the race has even started. And speaking of rough time with the stewards, that is exactly what applies to Tamer, who unfortunately had his race win stripped away from him this time last week by the stewards, who deemed that the incident with Hashim in the Ferrari was his fault, so he was promptly given a 5-second time penalty for that, and that promoted Elias to the race win. So yeah, that explains the change of order, and that explains why it is now a 48-point lead for the man at the front of your picture. Never mind, that was the other Ferrari, but the man now in your picture, who is, yeah, going very strongly in the championship. And now I think we've got one of the other Mercedes again. It's Davey off in the gravel at turn 5.
I mean, I don't think I quite agree with the decision of penalizing Tamer, but you know, I don't have the job of the race steward, so I think it's something that can just happen sometimes. Now, qualifying is over. I don't think we can expect some improving times, so I think it's up to you to say how the starting grid lineup is going to be.
Ooh, yeah, and Tamer, just before we get to the end of qualifying, having a massive moment there coming through turns 9 and 10. I also saw Elias actually retired out of turn 1. I'm not sure if that was an intentional retirement or just, yeah, if that was an actual accident. I'm not too sure, but either way, it is going to be then. Well, I suppose we can wait for the official screen, but yeah, it is going to be Elias in P1 once again, from Tamer in P2, so the exact same front row as in Qatar last week. Then Bimpo up in P3, having a good qualifying session, and Loris is going to join him on the second row in P4, the driver who is also P4 in the driver's standings. And I guess I'll finish the rest now. Afari P5, then Maxcon P6 again, like he is in the standings. Aero reserving for Alfa Romeo today. They have quite a strong team, I must say, so keep an eye out for those guys. But yeah, just a reserve for Aero. He's in P7 with Busman Ryan making his debut and doing a good job in P8. Then it's Hashim in P9, Lel in P10. Bacon Boys 11th, Blazer 12th, I Like Trains 13th, then Fury and Slinks P14 and 15, and the 5 drivers who didn't set a lap, Cooper, Kateshi, Yokata, Timblish and Davey all rounding off the grid. In fact, Davey, he I think had set a lap, was P13 or 12 if I remember correctly, but he was disqualified from the session, so he's now going to start from the back of the grid. So yeah, that's not ideal for him, but well, I suppose we're just going to have to move on with that in mind. We'll see if the session gets restarted for that. I'm not sure. I would hope not, but then again, for his sake, who knows? But yeah, we'll leave it there for now, and we'll see you in a few minutes' time, hopefully, with the race. Don't go anywhere. Alright, we are back already, and hopefully about to get ourselves underway with the formation lap in probably around about 10 seconds time, once the drivers have all finished with their setups and readied up. And what you will notice first and foremost is that it is absolutely soaking, once again, just like it was at the end of qualifying, and that means that it is going to be, well, I presume intermediates, but maybe even wet tyres, I would have to guess inters, for the start of the race, and that means that chaos might just be about to ensue here in Austria.
Well, it's gonna be quite something. Now, it's of course a little bit useless to speak about strategies right now because it's gonna be quite dynamic, and I expect everyone to start onto intermediate tires due to the fact that it's of course a wet weather race, at least for the first half of it. But as people are getting already disqualified from the formation lap, which is quite surprising, considering that we are not either into turn one. But you know, wet weather, a low downforce track, people who, sometimes don't really need those kind of conditions to cause a crash. Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting, let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, seeing disqualifications on the formation lap before we even get to the first corner is not the most promising sign, but hopefully that was just a minor altercation between, or a bit of a miscommunication between Max Con and Ryan. But yeah, either way, luckily for them, tyre temperatures won't make as much of a difference here in the wet conditions, so they should still be okay come the start of this one. But yeah, it's going to be quite a lot to keep track of here. A full grid of 20 cars, which is about 6 up from this time last week, so it's going to be a lot of action going on through the first few corners, and we'll do our best to keep on top of it. But yeah, I would have to say I will be seriously impressed if we can make it through the first few laps of this race without a safety car coming out. But we'll, yeah, only time will tell on that one. And we'll see what the drivers are able to do, and obviously after that, once we get through the start of the race, it's going to be a question of when is the rain going to, well, when is the rain going to cease to fall, and when are the slick tyres going to become available. So yeah, a lot to keep track of, but for now it is everybody on intermediate tyres, and a pure race for the start of this Grand Prix, as everybody makes their way through the final couple of corners now.
So keep an eye, of course, on Ferrari, Loris, Aereo, also Ashma, of course, and McLaren, Ferraris, of course, because our own battle. Sorry, Williams and Ferraris. Williams and McLaren, sorry, once again, I'm making a lot of mistakes here, but yeah, keep an eye on those two constructors because they are tied of points, but of course keep an eye on Lamau and Tamer because their rivalry is getting fired up here under the rain in Austria. So we are ready for the race start. So as soon as everyone is into their starting slot, it's up to you to commentate how it is gonna go.
And very, very angled on the grid is Elias here, so he's going to be a little bit feisty off the start. So here come the lights now. We've got 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights for Austria in LRC. And it's go! Who's going to be quick off the line? Seems like a bit of a decent start there for Elias. He was a little bit sketchy to begin with, but a good start coming in from Bimpo. He's going to try and get around the outside, heading to turn 1. Is everyone going to be able to make it through cleanly in these very slippery conditions here? Looks like with a bit of use of the escape road, everybody has indeed made it through, and it's going to be Elias who holds the lead, but here comes Tamer heading up to P3, up to turn 3. He's going to try and get up the inside now. Is Elias going to close the door? He's going to try to. Tamer can't find a way through, but Loris has managed to find a way through and gets himself up into P3, so a good start by the Alfa Romeo, and has everybody made it through cleanly? I think they have, so great driving by everyone here in these tricky conditions to make it through nice and cleanly at the start of the race.
So right now getting into the heart of Sector 2, where low downforce and of course wet tires are gonna make this one interesting situation. We can see also the Alpine and I think the AlphaTauri. Yep, the AlphaTauri going side by side, very close to contact, but of course no contact right now. And also Tamer going for the lead into I think it's turn 7, now turn 8, and I think it's gonna complete the overtake around the outside, and he can actually do it. Now going through turn 9, I think it's gonna keep the position, but keep an eye on the Ferrari because he could try it around the outside. Oof. It's gonna try it. It's going to be very close, but track limits play a role, and it's not going to be able to complete the overtake. But right now, completing lap 1, we're going to go into turn 1 with once again a battle for the lead, because just 1/10 are separating P1 to P2.
So it looks like the battle then has picked up exactly where it left off this time last week in Qatar between these two, but this time there's a whole train of cars following in behind them as Aero gets a little bit out of line in the background. But here we go, up at the front of the picture, Elias is going to go for it, round the outside he'll go, and before the braking zone he's able to get the move done. Going a little bit deep is Tamer there, and capitalising up the inside goes Loris. He nails his race in line and he gets through up into second place. So these two are not going to be able to run away with things just like they did last week, and Loris now might even even go for the lead. Into turn 4, the Alfa Romeo drifting it in there, barges into the side of the Ferrari. Tama's going to try and switch back up the inside now, losing the back end the whole way through. It's a drifting show here, but Tama does get through, and all of a sudden, in one corner, Elias has dropped from first down to third.
Very close stuff, very fine stuff. I'm quite surprised there's not been a very major contact between those drivers right now. But yeah, as you can see, Lamar has lost 2 positions in just a few corners, and now he's gonna probably go for it, or at least try in the next few corners to try and do something. Meanwhile, battle between the Aston Martin and the McLaren of course the Ferrari. And let's see now, starting lap 3, who is gonna be able to try and do some maneuvers. Of course, lap 3 DRS is not available due to the rain, but it's gonna be once the track dries out, which of course is not gonna be soon enough.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes, and if everybody's able to stay this close together once the DRS comes online, because if it does, then, well, I mean, it's going to be an absolute bonkers race, but that is unlikely. And now, up the inside, here goes Elias. He's going to waste no time making the re-overtake and get straight back past Tama with a lovely little dive bomb there. Just keep catching the Williams driver off guard a little bit again. Doesn't seem to be his strong suit, turn 3, and will Elias even go for the lead again into turn 4? Not quite close enough to do that, so Loris is going to hold P1 right now, but once again, the Dutchman in the Alfa Romeo is looking very quick on the restart, just like he did this time last week, so we'll see if he's able to make that last a little bit longer, that pace that he's showing at the moment, and see if he's able to keep himself in the fight for the perhaps the entire duration of the race. Meanwhile, we've got Slinks making a move, and that's because Bossman Ryan has gone for a spin there off at turn 6 and in towards turn 7. He's got to wait for the whole field to go through, and yeah, the first mistake has come in here, and it is unfortunately from our debutant. I did say he might be a little bit slower to get to grips here, having very limited practice time, and unfortunately he has dropped down to the back of the field right now, but yeah, luckily for him, the mistake is out of the way with still 32 laps left remaining, so may still be able to salvage something from this race, but we'll see how that goes for him. And meanwhile, I think Aero and Max can actually switch in places there. That's Aero is actually, he must have made a mistake here or something, because he has dropped 2 places now on the outside of turn 1. So yeah, let's see. And now up the inside. No, that was just holding the position there was Hashi.
Lamar Yes on the lead. Lamar Yes on the lead.
And yeah, you're right. I totally missed that one. Lamar Yes has gotten back into the lead, and can Loris try and re-overtake him now? Has a look to the outside, but Elias places his car really nicely there just to block both the inside and the outside, and Loris has to stay right in behind him for the time being. But yeah, seems like these guys are pretty evenly matched on pace, so should be a very interesting race, and I suppose now is going to be the test for whether Elias is going to be able to run away with this or not.
You know, I was wondering a little bit if someone was crazy enough to try and do a wet weather setup here, just to try and go hard as possible in the first half of the race, and then in the second half suffer a little bit. But considering that everyone is so close together, I don't think that's the case. Also, there's been another spinner right behind. I think it's a Williams. Yep, Fury. I think I had a little bit of an issue, and now he's in the battle between him, Jokata, and Beckham Boys. Meanwhile, all the yellow flag, and it's another spin from the house of Bossman Ryan, 6-9, 420.
Yeah, that's unfortunately things just not going too well for him at the moment, and that's, I suppose, fairly predictable. And now, here we go, predictable again, into turn 3. Loris is going to go for it around the outside, but there's contact, going way deep into the corner goes Elias. He's going to lose 4 places in one turn. Now we've got banging tyres Loris and Tama, and all of a sudden, Bimpo has come through into the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Afari's managed to get through into second, because I think Tama's having to give back places from overtaking under the yellow flags. We've got Pandemonium here, up at the top of the track, and it's completely changing places every single corner here. We've got Elias now back into 3rd place, side by side as Maxcon and Tama, and Loris now down to P4, sliding again as the Williams, and he's going to have to settle for P6. It's just blown up here.
I was wondering, Lamar Yes had a little bit of a contact, I think, during that lap maneuver, and I'm wondering if he actually got a little bit of damage. That's hard to tell, of course, because right now the pace is very equalized and it doesn't seem it's going too slowly, but you know, you gotta have to wonder when this kind of stuff happens, because it's very fine margin, and a little bit of damage can ruin your race if you are this close to your competition.
Yeah, and well, we have to hope for his sake that that is not going to be the case, as meanwhile we have seen...
Also, a little note I want to point out is that it stopped raining right now, so I can see rain falling from the sky.
Yeah, you're right.
The track is trying to dry out a little bit.
Yeah, that is correct indeed, as everyone makes their way through turn 3. Seems like everyone's gotten through much cleaner this time around, although further down the order we've got Hashim and I Like Train switching places there. I think that was actually Hashim getting back ahead of Trains, so it's a lot of changing of places. Aero looking for a dive bomb onto the Williams of Tama, who's just seems to have lost his rhythm a little bit at this point after the shenanigans of last lap, and I think Tim Bleish has gone for a move on Blazer further down the order and seems to have made it stick into turn 4, and likewise his teammate is going to be side by side with a Red Bull coming through turn 5 now. So yeah, it's action all the way through the field, which is I suppose what you would expect here in Austria, but rightly pointed out by you, the most important thing to note is that it has now stopped raining, so the track is going to be drying up from here on out. And it's, well, obviously not right now, you can see still plenty of spray being kicked up, but sooner or later we are going to see the first drivers starting to, well, I suppose the more ambitious drivers going for a early call and switching onto some dry tyres.
And as someone pointed out during the qualifying, or at least you pointed out during the qualifying, you know, the track looks quite wet here in this game, but usually, even though it looks wet, it's not really that wet to not allow to go onto slick tires. So we have to wonder if someone is gonna go for a gamble, you know, and try to go for the soft, actually not soft, I think it's gonna be probably either mediums or hard tires at this point to go to the end of the race. But yeah, you gotta wonder if someone is gonna try it and it's gonna pay off for them or not. So right now, battle, you know, between the two Alpines and an Alfa, sorry, not an Alfa Romeo, a Red Bull here, into turn 4, I think it is, and there's contact.
Yeah, that was Tim Bleish, who was taking a very bizarre line there. I think he must have just been hunting for some more wet patches to cool the tyres off a bit. Perhaps the track is starting to dry already here, but yeah, that was a bit sketchy there, just tapping into the side of his teammate Lelton, but thankfully no harm done between the two of them. And it is still up at the front of the field, just a train from P1 all the way down the order, and now I think that's is that somebody into the pits? It's Tama into the pits. So there we go. We've got our first stopper, and it's one of the, I suppose, contenders for the race win. Going bold. It's not been going too well for him so far, so perhaps this is the opportunity he needs. But he's not the only one. We've got a few drivers coming into the pits here, and it's going to be for a set of medium tyres for the Williams.
You know, I feel like it's a little bit of you know, it's one of these situations where you actually have to keep a little bit of calm if you want to have a good chance for winning. I feel like he doesn't really have to, you know, gamble like this, but, you know, if it pays off well, because he could be very far off in the lead, and you know how DRS can be strong here on this track. Speaking of other things, we have information from the pit lane, because we have information from bossman Ryan, who told us that his pedals were, as he said, fucked, and he spun twice because of that. So we know the main reason for the DNF, sadly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And meanwhile, you just saw Elias and Afari engaging in battle there for basically a whole sector and a half. But everyone's going to be into the pits now because DRS was enabled on that lap. So here we go. We're going to have a train of cars in. And I wonder if Tama might just have nailed the strategy and maybe, just maybe, got an undercut on these guys. Is everyone going to be able to get it stopped into the pit lane? And it is a whole train of people coming in. So might be a little bit tricky for these guys.
The double stack.
Yeah, everybody has done that, and it is going to be a double stack for Ferrari and for AlphaTauri. Or is it going to be for AlphaTauri? Yes, it is. I thought Maxcon had stayed out for a second, but no, they are both in. Maxcon's gone for hard tyres, and we're just going to have to switch on the telemetry here to see what everyone's gone on to. So Bimpo, he's gone for hard tyres, but here we go. Where are the other drivers going to come through? Where is Tama going to be? He's going to overtake Afari, he's going to overtake Elias, and with hot tyres, perhaps he can go even further, because your Carter's on Inters. So Tama has nailed the strategy here. He's got a nice little undercut. He's on the same tyres as the two drivers behind him, but he's going to be ahead of them once again now, and up into second place once he passes the Haas driver ahead of him. Also, you have to consider that these tires are going to be probably warmer than the guys who just had exited pit lane, so he's going to gain a little bit more during this specific lap. But of course, he's going to have a lap older tires than his competition, so that's going to be hurting a little bit during later on during the race. Not a lot, but just a little bit, and could be a little bit crucial, let's say, in the final phases of the race. Now we also have to find out if the mediums are the right tires to be on to go to the end, or the hot tires are actually a safer and better option. We'll find out just when the race ends, of course. And into the pits, I assume now, is going to come Yokata. He's not going to follow the pit-in line, but he is going to make his way in anyway. And yeah, unfortunately for him, just not worked out there. Tried to go an extra lap and do something different, but the track is just, it's dried up immediately. It's bone dry now. There's absolutely no wet patches left. So yeah, we love some good Codemasters realism there. But yeah, either way, it's the race is now officially on. and DRS is going to be enabled, so this battle is going to get a whole new set of dimensions, because not only do we have DRS, but we have, like you pointed out, strategy coming into things as well now. Tamer, he's on medium tyres, whereas Bimpo, in the lead of things, is on the hards. So Tamer, he's got the DRS, he's going to be quicker, and I would imagine in the, well, sometime in the near future, he's going to be making his way past that Aston Martin.
So yeah, now it's more like of a gamble on playing the long strategy or the short one. Right now, everyone on mediums is playing the short one because they want to be fast now and they want to go into the lead as soon as possible. But then you got people like Bimpo, Loris, and Matscon who are like playing with a more long strategy in mind. So they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be slow right now, but the more the race drags on, the more I'm gonna become faster compared to the medium runners. So I think it was Kateshi, no sorry, Back on Boys overtaking Davey. And as we see a flood of fast laps due to the fact that everyone right now is running on dry tires, the race goes on and the battle still rages on between Tamer, Lamau Yes, and Bimpo. And also, then is Lamau Yes go through Tamer?
Indeed,
actually?
yeah, that was what I was trying to switch to there, because into turn 9, and now into turn 3. Hang on, I'll cut myself off, because up the inside goes Elias. He's gone deep, though. Bimpo's going to switch back in there, and, well, it depends who's got the DRS here. It is going to be the Ferrari, so I think he might just be able to get away with that little mistake there. Round the outside he'll go, and I don't think the Aston's going to fight this one too hard. Indeed, he just about backs off, and so Elias gets himself into the lead of the race. But yeah, I was going to say, he'd made a move around turn 9 somewhere, so that was not something I was expecting, but he managed to get past Tamer, perhaps a mistake from the Williams, I'm not too sure, but yeah, finds himself now, as a result of that, in the lead of the race. Meanwhile, further down the order, we've got a big old scrap going on in the midfield. That's Timblish from Leland, from Cooper, from Blazer, all scrapping away. They're just outside the points, a lot of them, so it is, I suppose, quite an important battle if anybody was to crash out further up the order, and it seems to be the two Alpines who just about have the edge at the moment.
Yeah, and on all this, Lamau Yes sets the fastest lap after battling and storming into the lead, really. And now he has to try and run away, because as soon as the medium tire starts to drop off, Bimpo's going to be fast as hell. So he, of course, has to try and fend off the the Aston Martin, which just had a little bit of a look into turn 3. And now maybe into turn 4 can actually try and re-overtake the Ferrari, even though I don't think it's going to be quite a wise choice to try and attack right now, especially considering that Tamer, which is of course a very fast guy, is right behind them and could actually, you know, take a hint and take the lead if possible.
Yeah, and well, I saw that was Bimpo trying to fake out with the DRS there, heading towards the second straight, as meanwhile we've got Aero making his way past Dialect Trains further down the order, swapping places once again. This time it's Cooper diving up the inside of Timblish, heading into turn 4, and seems like he's managed to make the move stick this time around. And meanwhile, another dive bomb coming in from the Mercedes of Davey, fighting against Bacon Boys here. Those two have been basically scrapping the entire race long, and it's once again going to be the McLaren on the inside, heading into turn 6. This time we can actually stick with the fight. There's a little bit of contact and forced into the gravel for a moment there was Davey, so perhaps getting a little bit frosty between these two. We'll see if the stewards have anything to say about it, but yeah, we now have a great race on our hands, because there is action all the way throughout the field, and most importantly, right up at the front of it, because here goes Bimpo up the inside into turn 3. Is anyone going to try and look for a switchback, because Tamer's waiting in the wings as well, but Bimpo gets the move done. He's not waiting around this time, but that does mean Elias, is he going to have DRS? No, neither of them have DRS, but Elias does have the inside line, and he's going to use that to his advantage, try and get through the inside. Can the Aston Martin hold it on the traction? He's not quite got it, and Tamer now going to try and get involved up the inside, and he's going to try and send it all the way around the outside of turn 6. Can he make it work, though? He's still alongside, but now he has to back out. Bimpo gives him the squeeze, but he's got a good exit coming through turn 7 and 8 here, and he's going to try and look to the inside, but no, he tapped the back of the Aston, and that has cost him his momentum. But yeah, it is a brilliant fight here.
Yeah, great fair and hard racing between those three guys, of course. And now DRS gets open once again, and a little bit wide for the McLaren right behind. And I think that sign for the braking, that sign behind them got a little bit obliterated by the McLaren, but that can happen. But here we got a five-guy battle for the lead, and of course right now the Ferrari is leading, but I don't know for how much, because the Aston Martin is looking for the inside into the braking zone, and let's see if he can do something. Nope, he decides to wait for the next DRS zone. And how did Back on Boys get a penalty? Because I think track limits probably. Yeah, and now let's see if there is an overtake here, but I don't think it's gonna happen, because of course the Aston Martin did count him, Bimpo acting wise this time.
Yeah, that was Bimpo, once again, just trying to wait into turn 3, not go for the move so he could have the DRS into turn 4, but I think Elias just caught him napping a little bit, was able to get the power down a bit earlier, so he was able to keep himself safe this time around, and he's going to hold the lead for the time being. But yeah, there's so many battles going on throughout the track, and looking down the order as well, there's still, we have the battle from P11 down to P14, sorry, P12 down to P14. No, it is still P11. Cooper has just gotten into the lead of that fight for the time being, though. And further up the order, Slinks, he's all over the back of I Like Trains, just reserving
Oh, there's
today.
a yellow flag.
Now we've got a yellow flag down in Sector 3. I think that was for Bacon Boys making a mistake. But, yeah, or Sector 2, sorry. But, yeah, there's a lot to keep on top of here, and coming up to the top of the track, it's once again going to be Bimpo up the inside, and this time he's going to make the move into turn 3, not waiting around, and yeah, let's see if he's able to hold it this time, because here we go, Elias has got the DRS, clearly quicker in a straight line as the Ferrari. He's going to look for it on the outside, but not going to be able to do it. Can he look for a switch back on the exit, heading through turn 5? No, he's not got the traction, so it's going to be Bimpo this time, who gets himself back into the race lead, but I suspect, just like last week, we're going to be changing places for quite some time here.
Yeah, and as I said before, I expect the hot tires to become faster and faster and faster during the race. And that's going to be crucial, of course, for Bimpo, because if he wants to win, he has to try and keep this fight as long as possible. And then once his tires start to get better than the mediums, he's going to have to bolt away as fast as possible and get out of the DRS zone.
Indeed, and yeah, it's going to be a lot to see. And a lot of action to stay on top of, as I was predicting before the start of the race, so we'll do our best, but apologies if we do miss anything, especially a little bit further down the order, and like I say, I'll do my best to keep on top of it. But right now, it is still up at the front of the field that we're focusing on, but it is still Elias who's going to be sitting in behind Bimpo, and he's going to do what Bimpo's been trying to do to him for so long, and line up the move not into turn 3, but into turn 4, so here we go. Is he going to be able to make it work round the outside? It looks like he is. Bimpo's going to hold his nose in up the inside, but I don't think he's going to have the traction on the exit. Bit of a compromised line. He's still just about there, but now Elias is quicker off the corner and gets himself back into the lead of the race. So, yeah, plenty of changing places here up at the front of the field, and I think Cooper, oh, sorry, no, never mind, it was Blazer side by side with Leland into turn 4. And around the outside goes the Alpine with a nice little re-overtake move there. I think that was just Blazer trying to make the move, but not going to be able to make it stick just yet, so Leland holds on to P12.
And if you've seen the onboard of Bimpo before for the Battle of the Lead, you've noticed that in the traction, the Aston Martin was able to stay a little bit close to the Ferrari, but of course not as close as possible, which indicates, of course, that the mediums are still a little bit faster, but not that much. So it's starting to come into Bimpo's hand, this race. So he's gonna get more aggressive as more times goes on, and as he goes for the overtake once again into turn 3, he's gonna have a copycat situation of the last lap, while this time we also have the tamer factor in this battle because he's close to him as well.
Yeah, there's fighting everywhere now, and is Bimpo going to be able to hold the lead? It looks like he will this time, so we'll look further down the order. What about Maxcon? Is he able to hold position from Hashima? It looks like he's going to be able to do so. I think he just made that move up into P6, so he's going strong, Mr. Consistent once again, looking at some good points as things stand in this race, and Hashima taking a chunk of grass on the inside. We haven't seen that in a couple of races, but yeah, it seems like everybody has been keeping things nice and clean so far, which is what you like to see. It's been clean, hard and fair racing all the way through the field, and now Bimpo has started to open up a gap, so I wonder if you might have been right about the tyres starting to switch, and meanwhile now Hashim, has actually made the re-overtake heading into turn 9, so we are actually seeing some quite bold overtakes here, although unfortunately I did miss that one.
And speaking of nice and clean racing, I would actually love to see how many penalties have people got, because, you know, track limits are hard here, as we can see.
Loris hits Elias! There's a crash up at turn 3! Oh,
that's not an
me.
overtake, that's a killing maneuver, and indeed. I think Lamau, yes, is gonna be very mad with that one. And Loris, I think, is probably half damage after this one, and oh boy, that was aggressive.
Almost certainly. That was, yeah, Loris just went way too deep on the brakes there, trying to make the move on Tama, which has now gifted Tama P2. He was just about able to make it through cleanly, although with a bit of contact, so we'll see if people have damage here. Meanwhile, further back, we are going to have to switch to this fight, because here goes Aero trying to get past Maxcon. Round the outside of turn 6, he'll go. Can these guys keep it clean? Looks like they can, yes, they're going to back out, and now I Like Trains and Slink's going to go side by side, heading through turn 8, but yeah, it is I Like Trains just about able to fend off the position, and Aero getting himself himself up ahead of Maxcon. But yeah, we have drama ensuing up at the front of the field, and Loris with a costly mistake there that has dropped these guys, now almost 3 seconds behind the front two.
And that's not it, because as you can see also Bimpo has a 1.3 seconds gap from Tamer, so without the DRS, Tamer, with tires that are getting slower and slower compared to the hot tires, he's gonna have a little bit of an issue. So either he uses his battery right now to try and get into the DRS zone of the Aston Martin, or this battle could as well be over for at least right now, except of course something happens in this race, and as you can see, everything can happen in this league.
And what is about to happen now is Aero is going to go for a move once again on the outside here. This time it's at turn 4, getting quite close to contact there with Hashim, but he's able to make his way around and gets the move done nicely up into P6. So showing some good pace again once again in this race. And
penalty for Tamer. It's not over yet.
Indeed, it is not over yet, but that is only going to be music to the ears of Bimpo, who is, like you pointed out, sort of, well, he's taken the opportunity to break the DRS and drive away with things just a little bit here. He's got the gap up to 1.5 seconds now, but yeah, we'll see how that changes later on in the race. Of course, strategy may still play into the drivers behind him hands, but we will have to wait and see. I would say right now, though, Bimpo is looking very strong up at the front of the field, and yeah, still, there is plenty of battles going on further down the order, and actually a spin now. I think that's for Fury.
I think it's Fury.
Indeed, it is all the way down in P18, and getting out of the way of Bacon Boys, I suspect he may be perhaps on his way to retirement. And meanwhile, a move going on up at the front of the field. That's Afari was just staying ahead of Loris there. I don't think Loris actually got past. And yeah, Hashim is also making a re-overtake on Aero, but now it's about to go 3 wide heading towards turn 4 here. Maxcon's trying to get involved. Oh, sorry, I Like Train's trying to get involved. Up the inside he goes. Aero's able to get himself back into P6, off into the gravel for a moment. Goes Hashim, and now he's going to be under pressure this time, actually, from Maxcon, who's going to get up the inside into turn 6. Banging side pods there. Well. There's a bit of contact. Slinks might try and get involved if he's, well, he's going to have a look for it. There was a bit of contact, I think, between him and the Ferrari now as well. So, unfortunately, the moment I said that there was clean racing, that has instantly gone away from us, but yeah, thankfully at least, no safety cars just yet, and everyone still facing in the right direction as things stand.
No, I feel like that was quite clean compared to what you usually see. But one thing I was thinking is Afari is right now the only saving grace that can save Tamer race, because if Afari and Lamau Yes can fight, which I think is going to happen, then the gap between Lamau Yes and Tamer can grow more than 3 seconds, and it actually does. So once again the commentator girl strikes, and now the gap is more than 3 seconds.
Well, you've, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, called it as it's happening. Now we've got Loris going up the inside. That was, this time, only a half spin for Elias, luckily for him, but getting quite close to contact again. This battle is getting incredibly frosty between these three. I suspect the, well, if we had a cool-down room, it would be quite heated, and Afari now pushing Loris through the corner. You can see how close they get through turn 7 here, and we're going to have to cut away from these guys, look down the order, because Slinks has made a nice little move up the inside of Hashima, well, I would assume up the inside, into turn 6, and gets himself up into P9. So yeah, there's plenty of drama to go around in this race, and unfortunately it's once again not been entirely clean, although this time I'm not entirely sure if that was down to contact or if that was just Elias losing traction, but I'm sure the stewards will have plenty to say about it after the race.
I feel like it's more similar to what happened between Loris and Elias, so probably just outbreaking himself and then everything else happened, of course. But, you know, as one wise man said, this party is getting crazy, and we got a yellow flag, but I think it's because of Davey getting a little bit white after the Sector 2. Right now, let's keep on the battle for the lead, because... Sorry, not the battle for the lead, the battle for P3, because Lamau, Yes, Loris, and everyone else are close enough to get for the maneuvers, and as you can see, Loris has a little bit of a look around the outside, but cannot complete the maneuver as he intended. Meanwhile, the battle for P7 and P6 keeps raging on between Aero and I Like Trains, and even though he likes trains, he won't be liking this train off DRS, because it's not actually giving him a little bit of an edge on Aero, which of course right now is lagging this path. And he's trying to catch also the P5 of Fari, and you know, if something else happens, and I wish I shouldn't say that because last time happened a little bit of a catastrophe, you know, Aero is kinda there, and what's going on here? I think it's, actually, Lamau Yes going into the pit lane, so interesting, very, very interesting. So the mediums cannot go to the end, apparently.
Yeah, definitely not. I would have, I mean, that is what I was expecting, I suppose, that the medium runners especially will have to pit, and actually it's a double stack for Ferrari, so it's not ideal timing for Hashim. Obviously, their strategist Aero is actually too busy racing in this race. He's currently up in P5 and doing a pretty solid job of things. Meanwhile, Loris and Afari, they're in P3 and 4. I'm not sure if they did switch places or not, but it's the Alfa Romeo ahead at the moment, and that's about to change once again, if Afari's got anything to say about it, because up the inside he goes, heading towards turn 4, getting oh so close together, almost banging tyres, but this time they just about keep it clean, having the bare minimum of respect between the two of them, and Afari is able to get himself back up into P3, and Loris had some quite severe understeer there, though it doesn't look like he's got any damage. So yeah, it's I think he must be quite lucky at this point in the race to not have damage, although I would suspect there may be just a little bit, and now he's going to be on his way into the pits. And so is his teammate Aero, so another double stack here.
So I'm actually wondering, is this because of damage, or is this because both the hard and the mediums cannot go to the end? Because if that's the case, then I think that Afari surely has to answer, Tamer has to answer, and I think he did actually answer because he's in the pit lane. But at the same time, I feel like Bimpo has to answer as soon as possible, because he has a comfortable lead the second place, and you shouldn't actually try to lose it. So either he tries to go to the end of the race with those hard tires, which I feel like it's possible, or as we see here, a battle between the Ferrari and the Alpine, he tries to, hold down with the tires and see if he can actually go to the end. Meanwhile, a little bit of action here towards turn 3, and let's hope nothing bad happens here, although there is a little bit of braking going on. DRS gets open, and now towards turn 4, let's see if Lamau Yes can actually go for an overtake on, I think it's Team Blash. Yep, I think it is, but DRS train once again, and
it's
a little bit of contact between the Ferrari and the Alpine. So red versus blue, who's gonna come out on top? I think it's quite easily the Ferrari because of soft and fresher tires.
Yeah, he's just going to go right around the outside there with a little bit of extra force. I don't think Tim Blish will have appreciated that one, but I think just perhaps misjudging the gap of the speed. Yeah, indeed, we have the top 3 all coming in. So Slinks is going to stay out one lap longer. He's wise enough not to double stack, but Bimpo, he's, as you rightly said, he's had to react to this one. He's going to switch onto also a set of medium tyres, so interesting. I might have expected him to try and stay out and go into a set of softs at the end, but mediums it is going to be for him, so where is Tama going to be? He's not close enough to make the move, so Bimpo has had a good in-lap there. And Tama is actually going to be, by the looks of things, a bit busy dealing with Elias, who has had a very good pit stop cycle, and might just be getting himself back into the fight now.
I feel like the choice to go onto the mediums for Bimpo is actually the right one, because if he tried to extend it and go onto the softs, then he would have lost a lot of track positions, and he would have to go for, a lot of work during the track, and that can easily go wrong. If he does like this, he can easily try and pace himself with the medium tires and keep the gap under control without having to, fight other people on track. So I feel like this is the safest options. But of course, it's easier said than done, so we'll have to see in the next few laps how it goes. Meanwhile, battle all around, as you can see, like the Alpine versus the Red Bull, and into the braking, let's see who's going to be on top. I think the Alpine is going to be able to complete the maneuver, but of course they are still side by side. This is Katashi versus Leland, by the way, if you were wondering, and I think Leland is going to be able to complete the maneuver. Very hard braking. The Red Bull tries to stay on the outside, and I think he is going to be able, not yet, they're still side by side. Incredible.
It's a brilliant battle. And
yeah, I think the Red Bull is going to be able to stay on top, yep, and the Alpine is going to be able to wait for a little bit of a DRS zone. I think he has a little bit more grip, you can see. And meanwhile, also Lamau, yes, and Tamer are still fighting, so the battle between these two is not over yet. And in the blink of an eye, the question of having a 3 seconds penalty is back into the mind of Tamer, because Lamau, yes, is right there with him.
Yeah, Elias, like we say, he's had a very good pit stop window. He's basically made up all of the time that he lost, so I wonder if Tama might have just been held in traffic or made a mistake on his outlap, so we'll see how that works out for him. But as you point out, he's got that 3-second penalty, and that is going to be quite the nuisance for him now, so he's going to have to get back past and then work some magic with those medium tyres, but I'm not sure how well they'll be able to do on them, or if he's going to have the outright pace advantage to try and break DRS of that Ferrari. It's going to be quite a tall order for him, but all the while, these guys fighting is going to be playing right into Bimpo's hands. He's just controlling the race as it is at the moment, up in P1 and 3.5 seconds clear of the Ferrari behind him, who is probably about to be under fire from the Williams of Tama once again. So yeah, we'll see what happens between these guys. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see them start to work together and try and pull each other along towards the Aston Martin up at the front of the field, but that's probably a bit too much cooperation between two title contenders, so it might just be a bit more of a scrap than that. And meanwhile, looking down the order, Slinks is trying to make moves. Everyone's trying to make moves up at turn 3. We've got a swarm of cars here making their way through the corner. It's Hashim is backing everybody up. Here come the two Alpha Tauris heading towards turn 4. It's 5 cars in the space of about 2 meters. There's the contact between Timberlash and Hashim, but somehow everybody keeps it in the right direction. They're 2 by 2 behind him. Going for the move up the inside into turn 6 is Maxcon. Around the outside, I Like Trains is going to have to go. He runs out of room and has to settle in behind, but Maxcon gets himself up 2 places up into P7 and getting so close together. Meanwhile, behind them, already side by side, was Aero and Blazer, I think that was for a second. Aero just about staying ahead. Now side by side potentially, and contact side by side has not worked. It's I Like Trains getting spun round. That was, I think him and Slinks tried to go wheel to wheel into turn 9. It was never going to work. It was always going to end in disaster at some point, and it has boiled over, but I suppose we can count our lucky stars that it was only 1 car involved in that one, but yeah, unfortunately for I Like Trains, he's going to drop down to P12 now and be under pressure from the Red Bull of Cooper straight away.
You know, that was like watching your local friend trying to play with a zipper at the local gas station. So you knew something bad was gonna happen, but thankfully it wasn't as bad as we had thought. And while the battle between Tamer and Lamoyes goes on, I wanted to point out that Maxcon, Slinks, and of course Fury and Dave went actually on the soft tires, which is a little bit surprising because I think there's still a little bit more laps to go than they may expect. Even though I think they may be able to go to the end, but you know, the safer option is still the medium tires in my opinion. Also, Team Blash and Blazer are still on the hot tires, and they're hoping that the grip that they have left is gonna be enough to get into the points. Meanwhile, yellow flags and I think Slinks spun and went into the grass. So yes. Not a great day in the office for this side of the Aston Martin garage. Well, on the other side, they are party hard probably.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he's just fallen victim of another mistake there. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, here we go again. It's Lamoyes getting back past Tamer, and yeah, those two swap places once again. Tamer had gotten ahead, and now they're going to switch around, as meanwhile, Timberlash has decided to ditch those hard tyres. No point trying to take them to the end. He's going to put on a fresh set of softs for the remaining 7 laps of this race, but it has flown by here, so I think the soft tyre runners might just be okay in terms of getting to the end without having too much wear. It's certainly not going to be as much as it was last week. And hopefully we're not going to be seeing any punctures. But yeah, some compromise strategies. It was always going to be hard to predict after the rain earlier on in the race. And yeah, at the moment it is going to be Lamoyes then in P2 and getting past the back marker of Welbs there, who's going to get right out of the way. Unfortunately, just not been a good day for him, and not going to be a good day for McLaren, who are going to lose, it looks like, a few points to Williams in the Constructors here, but not too many either, since Fury is down in P17. So yeah, it's going to be a good fight between these guys to the end by the looks of things, but I think Bimpo, if he can just keep it clean now, he's the gap is still ever so slightly growing each lap, and yeah, he's got 3.7 seconds as it stands. If he can keep it clean for the last 6 laps of this race, I think he is basically home and dry here, but obviously it is never that simple, so we'll see what he can do, and in the meantime, we'll keep our eyes on the battles on the rest of the track, which is, first of all, going to be Lamoyes and Tamer once again into turn 4, and it's the Williams of Tamer getting up the inside and getting the move done nice and easily, and then we're going to have to switch straight away down the order to Aero and Hashim, who switch places on the exit of turn 3. Maxcon still holding on to P6 at the moment, but yeah, Aero is going to stay in P7 after getting the move done. And now we'll probably mount a challenge on the AlphaTauri. And yeah, this train of cars that was forming has now thankfully started to break up a little bit, and yeah, hopefully that means we'll have some cleaner wheel-to-wheel racing to go with it.
You know, I was thinking, actually, probably it's not that much of a long shot, because I think from lap 26 on, it's possible to go onto the soft tires, because I expect them to do at least 10 laps here in Austria, which is not really a hard track on tires. But, you know, speaking instead of the battle between Tamer and Lamoyes, as you said, they should probably collaborate and try to catch Bimpo, but think it about from the side of Tamer. You know, you're fighting your championship contender. You know that you probably won't be able to win because of the penalty. So the least you could do is try and avoid that. You know, you should try and obstaculate. Let's say, let's make Lamoyes work a little bit harder to get into the lead of the race. So the best thing you can do is fight Lamar Yes as much as possible to obstaculate him from getting into P1. Meanwhile, Afari gets a penalty for track limits, and we're witnessing the battle between Maxcon and Dirio for P6 right now.
Yeah, that was Aero making the move, a nice little dive bomb up the inside into turn 4, and Maxcon just about able to fend off from Hashim, who was having a look at the inside, but no way through for him. And yeah, as you pointed out, it is definitely, well, I would say, the right call for Tamer, just to try and inhibit the progress of the Ferrari that is currently behind him, although that will probably soon change, because obviously Loris and Afari both have penalties, much like him, so he's not going to be losing positions to them unless he actually loses them on the track. Meanwhile, losing a position on the track to Elias, as the switch places once again. Is he going to have the DRS though? Yes, he is, so there may just be a re-overtake in store just yet, and indeed he is. Here we go, up the inside, and Tamer once again, for what must be about the 20th time this race, gets the move done and repasses the Ferrari to get himself back into P2, but the gap now up to 4.2 seconds, so if that is what Tamer's strategy is, just try and stop the Ferrari from winning this race, then he's doing a pretty good job right now, and I'm sure Bimpo will have plenty of thanks for him after the race.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing much that Lamar Yes can do at this point to win the race. They either expect Bimpo to do something wrong, which if I can say that before something bad happens, I hopefully hope it doesn't happen. So let's hope it's a last 3 clean laps for him. And at the same time, the only person he can actually fight is Tamer, so he can just try and not do something like this, and of course avoid getting penalties, and then relax, because he's there. He doesn't really have to worry too much about Tamer. He has to worry a little bit about Loris, because he's right behind 1.6 seconds and he's getting a little bit closer. But other than that, yeah, I don't think he has nothing to worry about, at least for now. If he gets a penalty, then yes, it's gonna be a different question. But right now, he can stay a little bit, let's say, relaxed and fight like this with the Williams.
Yeah, there was Elias there, had gone for quite a bold move into the first corner. We've not really seen too many of those today, but yeah, and I suppose showed us why we haven't seen too many, because he went deep, went off over the curbs, and Tamer was able to get back past. But now, into turn 4, he makes amends and gets himself back into P2, but now the gap up to 5 seconds, so yeah, it is just a case for Bimpo. Try and keep things clean, and for Elias, as you see him get right up to the track limits there, try and keep things within the track limits so that he doesn't have to worry about whether he's ahead or not on the final lap of the race, because obviously if he does get another penalty, or well, I don't know how many warnings he's got, but if he gets a penalty, then this battle is suddenly going to be worth a whole lot more than it was before. But yeah, I suspect without that, it's just going to be more of this, switching all the way to the checkered flag, and this time it's going to be Tamer up the inside into turn 3, and Elias going to sit in behind, wait for the DRS, or is he? No, he's going to go round the outside, so I suppose making the most of the opportunity to have a good fight, and Elias, with the DRS now, is able to stay ahead and lead them down towards turn 4.
Babe, wake up, it's the 30th time we've seen these 2 battles, and they're still going at it, and lap 34 out of 36. Well, Kateshi gets a little bit of a penalty for track limits, but at this point it's kind of expected due to the nature of this track. And at this point, it's quite funny to notice that there are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people not with penalties. So, funny enough, let's see how much they amount to. 12 and 15 seconds amount of penalty for Kateshi and Dave. So, some people don't really like track limits like right around here. So, we get into the penultimate lap of this race, and guess it. Yep, once again, a battle between Tamer and Lamar. Yes, Tamer gets into the lead, the P2, into turn 1, but once again, with the DRS, I feel like Elias is going to be able to fight back. Although I think none of them got DRS, so it's going to be a straight, old-fashioned battle of Formula 1 with Elias, who gets into the braking zone ahead of him. And now, who's going to have DRS? I think it's the Williams. Yep, I think it is. Is it going to be close enough to try and overtake him into turn 4? Let's find out very soon. Braking right now, very late, but not enough.
Not quite close enough, and just going to have to stay in behind him. Meanwhile, it's important that we point out Loris. He's actually got 6 seconds of penalties, so he is just about managing a 3.1 second gap to Afari, which will hold him in P4, but if he closes up to these guys too much, he might start to get held up with the dirty air. Meanwhile, we have a yellow flag up at turn 3.
It's a Red Bull.
We've got a spin for that's Leland now, just were basically getting tagged straight around there. I don't know what was happening, but there's clearly been some kind of shenanigans going on here, and unfortunately Lellen has just dropped all the way down the order. I don't think he was in the points already, but yeah, he's going to lose quite a few positions for that in his finishing order, which I'm sure he's not going to be too much of a fan of. But meanwhile, onto the final lap of the race, here we go, and for the final time, here comes Tamer. He's going to go to the inside, through turn 2, and into turn 3. He's going to hold P2 as it stands. The gap now 5 seconds to Bimpo. And Loris, as I was saying, he's going to get into the fight now and he's going to get caught up a little bit. So Afari might just have a chance to get into P4 yet, because you can see that gap is just teetering on 3 seconds. But here we go. Here's the moves on track. It's Tamer and Lamau, yes, side by side one final time, heading through turn 5. This is just for the driver's honest, if nothing else. Lamau, yes, is going to get the position on the track as long as he can keep it clean. But it is Tamer who is going to hold the position right now. And yeah, over the line, Elias will be given that position for P2, but it is going to be Tamer who takes it on the track. So great job by him, but an even better job by this man here. Bimpo has come through it all today, stayed perfectly clean all race, and completes a brilliant drive to win the Austrian Grand Prix here in Tier 1 of LRC, and it will be Tamer who just about holds on to P2, but obviously with the penalty it's P3, and Loris is just by 0.2 of a second going to secure that P4 ahead of Afari, who has to settle for P5. Aero with a hard-earned P6 after a lot of fighting today. Maxcon takes P7 once again, very consistent as always, and his teammate is going to come home in P8. He's a little bit further behind, and then it will be Hashim and Blazer, actually, in the Mercedes. He's only reserving today,
and I
so...
think a McLaren is not going to finish.
Oh yeah, we've had an accident there. That's for Beacon Boys. He was a lap down already, but yeah, unfortunately he's had a spin. And actually, Lellen has had a spin with him, so I wonder if there was contact between those two. But yeah, that's not an ideal way for either of them to end the race, and unfortunately for Lellen, it's just yeah, unravelled a bit in the final couple of laps here on his second race as a full-time Alpine driver. But yeah, that is going to be it then. Blazer takes the final points paying position, but obviously, being a reserve, that will be given to Yokata instead. Or actually, it'll be given to Cooper because Aero is also a reserve. So yeah, those guys will get themselves into the points, and that does mean actually I think Lellen might just have had a chance at points. So that is quite disappointing for him, and it is now up to Davey to do some donuts and round off the race.
And with this, one race we were expecting to be chaotic and full of crashes ended up with, well, not having many crashes, thankfully, but a very nice battling between all the drivers. So very nice to see this kind of racing here in Tier 1. And now we get to the podium after this crash between the Mercedes and the other car on the straight line.
Yeah, that was a very good race to watch. Once again, we had battles all the way through the field, as we would, well, as I'm pretty sure everyone would have predicted going to Austria, but it is Bimpo who, by virtue of keeping things perfectly clean all race, comes out on top, nails the strategy, and takes a well-earned victory, his first of the season. And yeah, it's been a tough season for him, but this one, I'm sure, will mean quite a lot to the Aston Martin driver, and it is going to be Elias then, who has to settle for second place ahead of Tamer, once again, in P3.
Well, surely this was one of the races of all time, like every single race this time. But yeah, quite an interesting strategic battle between all the drivers, and of course, congratulations to Bimpo for the race win, because I think it was very deserved, especially for all the choices he had and he did during the race, which were, I think, very, very, how can I say that, they made sense, mainly, and of course they were the right choices in the end. So now up to you for the race conclusive leaderboard.
So it is then Bimpo who takes the victory from Elias in second place. I think he'll be a bit disappointed with that one, given the pace he had today. Then Tamer in P3. Loris just about clinging to P4 over the line from Afari in P5, who dropped away a little bit towards the end. Aero takes P6 as a reserve today. Then Maxcon, Trains, and Hashima, P7, 8, and 9. Blazer P10 as the other reserve. In the points, then it's Yokata and Cooper, who will both be boosted into the points by the reserve disqualifications. Tim Bleish, P13 and P14. Oh, sorry, P13, Tim Bleish, Kateshi, P14. Then Slinks, after that mistake earlier on in the race, can only finish P15, but with the fastest lap. Lellen has to settle for 16th after it all unravelled towards the end for him. Davey, P17. Fury, reserving today in P18. Then Bacon Boys and Bossman Ryan rounding out the finishing order at the back of the grid. So, that caps off a very entertaining race here today, and yeah, I think there's going to be quite a lot of action from the stewards as well after this race, so the results may be subject to change, but that is obviously going to be something we have to wait until next week for. But before next week, we'll be back in about 5 minutes' time with the driver interviews to hear their perspectives on the race and some of their onboards as well. So we'll see you in a few minutes' time.
And with that,
Alright, welcome back everybody. We are here once again and ready for some driver interviews and also to have a look at some of the drivers' best onboard clips after that. So let's get things started as usual then with our race winner if he is here. No, he's not here. Okay, never mind. In that case, we will go for our P2 finisher, which is going to be Elias. And yeah, let's get his thoughts on what will be presumably not the perfect race for him. Elias, hello.
Hold on, hold on. There we go. Hello.
Okay, hello. Well, I suppose a bit of an interesting race for you then. Not short on drama this time around, and also plenty of battles. So, yeah. How was the race for you, and how do you feel about the result?
Obviously, I'm very, very disappointed. That was definitely my win. I mean, I did everything perfect. Quality was perfect. My pace was good. I launched clean moves, even though they were a bit, you know, bit late, but they're fine. Didn't make contact or anything, so they were all clean. And I got hit 3 times, 4 times, so it's so annoying when this happens. I mean, I don't know. I don't get how they come back from 5 tenths back and manage to hit me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's. I think from what I saw, at least from what we saw, I think Loris was probably the worst offender with that. There was an incident at
Yeah,
turn
you
3
should have
where.
seen what Tamar did, man.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we did.
I don't remember. I'll be honest. If we did see that, then maybe just post it in the clips. But yeah, I saw
Yeah.
I saw the one with Loris. Where
And
he
then
was
with
just
Afari as well. He
yeah with
went
the
for a
fire
move
too.
and then he went back and then he went back again last second.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it was unfortunate for you. Just I suppose a bit of a magnet for contact today. Really, there's not much you could do about it. But I suppose I guess in spite of that, I think you still did a pretty good job to get yourself P2 in the end with a pretty solid drive. So, yeah, do you think you're happy with the performance otherwise to at least still get P2?
I mean, I'm happy with my performance. I think I did really great today. I think one of my strongest performances this season. But obviously, I would have liked to have P1.
Mm-hmm.
Would have liked to have. Sorry, I failed my English exam.
That's all right. Yeah, well, I think you did a good job. Can definitely be proud of that, like you say. And yeah, I just want to ask as well, how did the wet weather affect your strategy for this race?
Honestly, it didn't really affect it that much. I mean, we already knew from beforehand. Beforehand, wow. Beforehand, um, what we would do. Like we had different strategies in our minds already. Like if the rain would stop early, if the rain would stop a bit later, we always knew what to do. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, it was all good with the strategy. I mean, nothing went wrong with that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask as well because obviously your normal strategist Sarah was actually racing as well. So were you still talking to him during the race?
I mean, uh, just a little bit, not too much. It was mostly me complaining.
Fair enough.
It was mostly
Yeah,
me complaining and Leland being Italian in the background.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think Leland had some similar issues as you towards the end of the race, but yeah,
yeah,
we'll have to get him in and see what he has to say about that. But yeah, it was
yeah.
still a solid result from you, and your championship lead is not actually going to be taking any kind of hit really, because your title rival still will finish behind you. So that's I suppose the upside of that. And yeah,
Guess
how
so.
do you feel about how are you feeling about next week's race?
Silverstone, I think it's gonna be a very very good one. Everyone should be, or at least like most of the guys should be quick, and Silverstone. Should be a good one. I'm very excited because last season I didn't get to actually start the race,
Ah,
but yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can get redemption for last season.
all right. Well, yeah, Max, you have anything else to ask?
Yes. Do you think that the Bimpo dominance may start to bore fans?
Yeah, man, I'm already getting bored of this, bro. Get him out the league, bro. Put him in tier 0.
All right.
All right.
Also, league ban
Wonderful.
Tamar, man. You should have
Alright.
seen what happened, bro. I'm gonna post it in clips.
Yeah, but please do. I definitely want to see that. All right. Well,
Yeah.
good job on the race today. Commiserations
Thanks.
on only P2. It must be so awful to only be second. Could
Look,
never
you're
imagine
making
that
look.
personally.
Listen. Obviously, look. P2 is not what I wanted. When it was supposed to be a win, I'm
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
gonna be very disappointed with P2.
No, I
It's
do get
it's
it. I'm just messing. It's all right. You
yeah.
did.
I know. It's fine.
All right. Well, I'll let you go then, and good luck with next week's race.
Hope you guys had fun as well with this
Yeah, we did. We did.
action-packed race. Yeah. See
All
you
right.
guys.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah, like I predicted, quite disappointed with that, and unfortunately his very high standards and very high pace, I suppose. Nick P2, not exactly the ideal result, but yeah, still, like we say, extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship, and it's going to be quite hard to catch him from here on out, I would imagine, but well, only time will tell. But yeah, let's move on to our second interview, which is going to be with the man who he just slandered, which is Tama, who finished in P3. So let's see what his perspective is. Tama, hello. Hello, can you hear us? Hello. All right. Well, I think a bit of a mixed bag of a race for you, but still able to come away with at least a podium. But do you think you could have got more from this one?
My 3 second penalty was a bit of a glitch within the game. I got 2 warnings and one track limits corner.
Ah,
So yeah, that is it, and just cost me the race. After that 3 second penalty, I was like, yeah, a podium is understandable. And yeah, it was very tricky in the wet. I mean, turn three, I kind of did some terrorist actions against the US. My car would not stop, so I'm guessing I'm gonna get penalized for that. But yeah, it's one of these races to forget. We learn from it, and then we'll bounce back stronger next weekend.
yeah, I did. We did hear from Elias about that incident, so I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens. Because I don't think we actually caught it on the stream, but yeah, either way, it was still at least able to pick up a decent result, like you say, get the P3 and get some good points on the board. I suppose. Do you think there's anything that you should have done differently, maybe strategy-wise, or you think that was the right call?
No, I'm not sure on my end strategy to switch from the wets to the medium. Sorry, it was I think pretty spot on, and like we can see, I overcut many people. But yeah, I mean, just lack of confidence within the setup, especially turn three. Ever since the incident, I
Mm-hmm.
just lost confidence in that corner, and yeah, and with the more tire wear, the car getting slipperier and slipperier. Absolutely zero confidence, and yeah, when you go in a race with zero confidence, it can hinder you a lot. But yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
just a lot to learn from it.
Yeah, it did seem like you were struggling a little bit with the car at times throughout both sessions there. So yeah, I think for you it's going to be a case of bouncing back next week. And yeah, how do you think you'll do in Silverstone?
Um, yeah, I mean, Silverstone also is not really my great strengths on this game, but yeah, I mean, with practice, anything's possible. So I'm just gonna keep working at it, and yeah. Although I think I might miss next week's race because I'm gonna be traveling for a football tournament.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
I just, I just,
Well,
I just remembered. I just remembered. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I might be absent.
okay, well, fair enough. Good luck with that then, I suppose, and hopefully we get to see you back in Belgium at least. Do you think Belgium would be any better for you then?
Yeah, I mean, usually throughout my games, I'm very confident with Belgium. Like quality pace might not be up there yet, but definitely race pace. I'm very, very strong there, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that weekend.
All right, good to hear it. Max, you got anything else to ask?
Um, um, yeah. So basically, Formula One is the basically yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, same.
All right. Great. Well, with that incredible information in mind, I'll let you go. Good luck with next week if you are able to make it, and if not, then we'll see you in Belgium.
Yep. Thank you so much, and yeah, congrats to Bempo for his race win.
All right. See ya. Yeah, there's a bit of a, like I say, mixed race again for Tema, and I'm very intrigued to see now what happened at turn 3. So Because I don't remember seeing it on the stream, so we'll have to wait and see.
I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot, but we will see. We'll see what the clip says. But yeah, until then, we have our next interview, which is going to be with another assassin at turn 3, which is going to be Loris, who finished in P4. So let's get him in. Loris, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, again, it seemed like another decent race for you, and once again, it went up with you in P4. So seems to be your favourite position at the moment. But yeah, how did you feel the race went?
Yeah, it went quite decent apart from the incident I had with Elias, but apart from that, yeah, I don't know what else I could have done better. Maybe don't go. Maybe I should have gone on the hards, but apart from that, yeah, I think I did everything I could today. So
Yeah,
yeah.
fair enough. And about the incident with Elias, was that? I mean, it seemed like it was just you going for the move on. I think it was on Afari, and then just overshooting. Was it? Oh, on Tamet, yeah.
Yeah, I just braked too late, and yeah, then I just couldn't avoid it anymore. And yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
sorry for that.
Unfortunate. I'm sure the stewards will have plenty to say about it, but we'll leave that for them to decide. And at the moment, as things stand, there's going to be another P4 for you. So yeah, good points once again. And yeah, do you think you had the pace to do any better in the race, or was that probably your limit?
Yeah, I think if I went on the mediums, I could have got more into the mix at the beginning of the dry period of the race. But and if I didn't get undercuts, I think I could have fought with Elias and Tamar at the end of the race more. So yeah,
Yeah, you
pace-wise, I
did.
think it was all right.
Yeah, I was going to say you did close up to those guys towards the end as they were fighting, so maybe you could have gotten a bit higher up, but obviously the 6 seconds of penalties would have probably made that quite difficult. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think still a good job on the whole, aside from the incident, and yeah, good points on the board. How are you feeling about next week's race? You think you can be any stronger there?
I don't know. It was one of my favorite tracks at the early seasons, but last season I didn't have any pace, so I don't know how it's gonna go. But we will see. Probably gonna
Fair
be
enough.
around P4 again. But yeah.
Yeah, that's like you say, P4 merchant right now. We'll see if you're able to keep up the streak. But yeah, Max, you got anything else to ask?
Yes. Can you make us? Can you make there's 10 corners in Austria, so can you make us a top 10 breaking points in the racetrack?
A top 10.
Yep.
Oh my god! So let me search at the track map.
Like in order for preference, of course.
Spielberg track map. Okay, can I do a top 3?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Number 1, turn 4. Number 2, turn 3. Number 3, turn 1.
All right, makes absolute sense.
Very good.
Yes.
And I'm so glad we know this now. I'll bear this in mind tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll win the race.
Yeah. Take that in account.
All right, sick. All right. Well, thank you for the interview, and good luck with next week's race.
Okay, thank you.
See ya. All right. Yeah. P4 again for Loris. Like we say, P4 merchant. He's also P4 in the driver's standings. Although I think he will still hold that. Bimpo was after a rough start to the season quite far back, but he will obviously make some inroads today. So we'll keep an eye on those slightly lower battles towards the end of the season, given that P1 seems to be not wrapped up. Obviously, anything can happen, but seemingly leaning definitely quite heavily in Elias's favour as things stand. But yeah, with that in mind, we will move on to the next interview. We still have quite a few to go by the looks of things. So next one is going to be with, I believe it will be with Aero. So yeah, wait, is Afari there? No, Afari's not there. All right, so Aero, let's get him in. Aero, hello.
Oh, hello.
We're not interviewing you last for once since you're actually driving this week. So yeah, and driving pretty well, I have to say, from what I saw. Although, well, the P6, I don't know how that stacks up for you. I think we've seen some good pace from you before, but yeah, how do you feel about the result?
It's not too bad, really. I mean, unlike in Miami, I actually finished the race, which is cool. I had the opportunity to actually do something. And I had some great battles with Trains, with Hashim, with Max Khan, with Tim as well, and Jorkato. So honestly, yeah, not too shabby. I mean, I know my pace isn't the same as it used to be, so yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like, I mean, from my perspective, it seemed like it would have been a pretty enjoyable race for you. You were in battles basically almost the whole time, especially towards the latter stages of the race. Had some great fights, like you say, and I just the one thing I do want to ask about is how did you feel in the moment where there was about 7 cars within about 2 seconds of each other heading through the top of the track? I don't know if you remember that, but how was that
Yes.
from your perspective?
Okay, I remember it very clearly because I spat out the trademark "What the hef?" Yeah, not that's everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, okay, this must end in a crash, and it ended in a crash,
it
or
did.
a few taps as well. So at least one crash I remember, because trains was a bit of a side effect of that whole group of cars. But yeah, I mean, it could have been much worse, and I imagine that to be much worse because we know tier one.
Yeah, it was. I have to say, I actually did say it at the time that yeah, even though it was unfortunate to see trains crash, it was I suppose thanking our lucky stars that it wasn't actually like a 6-car pileup, which is kind of what I was. I was having flashbacks to Bahrain, but
Yeah.
thankfully everybody kept it much cleaner this time, and we managed to make it through the whole race without a safety car, which was obviously nice to see once again. But yeah, you think? Well, I mean, I suppose there's not really too much else to say for you. Just a good race, fighting your way through the field, and well, I'll ask, how was it doing the strategy for yourself this time?
Uh, a bit more complicated because you don't have the full picture, I guess. But really, there wasn't any great challenges this race, apart from the fact that the rain stopped earlier than what we thought. So, but yeah, the decision was taken in like 10 seconds, so everything went fine strategy-wise. And I mean, yeah, apart from the fact that I wasn't in VC with Loris, so uh, well, let's just say I got blocked 2 times in the pits by him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw you double stacked at least one time, so
Yeah, we
not
did
ideal.
both times actually.
Ah,
So the first stop and then the second stop when so it was on the hards and I was on the mediums, right? And I was like, okay, I'll have to stop, but I need to make sure I don't double stack again with Loris. I don't want to like, I don't want to get blocked again. And I was like, oh yeah, he's on hard, so I can stop now. It's no problem. So I was like,
yeah,
okay, surely he's not gonna stop, and then he stopped. And yeah, as soon as I entered the pits, I see him in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm losing time again. Great.
yeah. It's unfortunate. That's, like you say, what happens when you're not able to plan together. But yeah, still, it
Yeah.
was, I think, like you say, a good race for you, and just I suppose that's the most important thing, is the reserve. Just come and have some fun, have some clean racing. So yeah, good job with that. And you have what are your plans for next race?
Actually, that was the last race that I had the opportunity to race, at least well, with a wheel, or at least this season, as I'm gonna be outside the country for a while. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I will be able to do next race. But yeah, if I ever have the opportunity to race again in LRC this season, then yeah, I'm gonna approach it as I approached every race that I raced until now. Just practice a lot, and yeah, whatever track it is, I'm gonna do my best.
Okay, that sounds good to hear. And also, with that in mind, then I suppose you're going to be doing back on the Ferrari pit wall for next week.
Yeah, that is still a bit of a question mark, but yeah, I hope I'll be able to still engineer the boys on Friday and on Saturday.
All right.
But yeah,
How do you think? How do you think you'll do in that case then?
we'll be fine. We're all gonna be fine. I don't think anything's gonna change. We're already like countries apart in a normal race weekend, so me going to another country is not gonna change anything
All
in
right.
that regard, at least.
Same old confidence then. Good to hear. Max, you got anything else to ask?
Yes, if you could rename the Alfa Romeo team in whatever name you liked, what would you name them?
Any option but Sauber Kick F1 team.
Alrighty,
Fair enough.
and I think that's it.
I suppose the great irony is that you didn't even get that right.
Yep. Because
Yeah,
I don't
all
know,
right.
I've heard like 50
Yeah,
versions,
exactly.
and yeah.
All right. Well, that proves the point. Thank you for that, and yeah, good luck with whatever you're doing next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
All right. Yeah. Just reserving today for Eros, obviously. Nothing too serious, and just a fun race for him, which is, I suppose, the most important thing. We will move on then to another full-time driver, which is going to be Maxcon for AlphaTauri. Let's get him in. Maxcon, hello.
Hello.
You ready for an interview?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it was P7 you finished in the end, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think from what I saw of it, at least, seemed like you had a pretty solid race and definitely had some great battles throughout. So, how was it from your perspective?
It was pretty good. There was actually no bullshit this time. So qualifying, I went out early, P6, and the rain came in, so nobody was able to improve. In the race, I fell behind to P7 for a short time, but then I went up to P5. Thanks to the rain at the beginning, the field at the front stayed close, so I was able to keep up. And the track, the rain stopped. We went on soft tires. Everybody went on the slicks, and after that, I was struggling more to keep up, but I still managed to keep it in 7th place. Kinda nice.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I was saying earlier on in the stream, you basically Mr. Consistent once again, and just keep on racking up the good points results, which I think currently has you P6 in the standings. So yeah, we'll see how long you're able to keep that streak running for. But like you say, I think a pretty solid race again, and thankfully it was quite a clean one too. So yeah, good to see you getting involved in some good scraps. And again, I'll ask the same thing that I asked Aero, which was yeah, how was the moment, I suppose, where there was like 15 cars altogether up at the top of the circuit? How was that? How was that from your perspective?
You mean like the first lap, or?
No, there was. So it was later on in the race where must have been about 6 or 7 cars, all spread by about 2 seconds, so maybe less, going through the DRS zone at turn 4.
You mean it like... That was... I think it was when it was still raining, right? It was...
I think it. No, I'm pretty sure it was in the dry because we had DRS on. There was just like 2x2 going through the whole field.
Well,
I mean, not the whole field, but yeah.
In the race, it was pretty close, but in the dry, I was pretty much on my own, and I was just with Hashim and Aero.
Fair enough. Maybe you're seeing a different thing to me that I don't know. But yeah, I suppose
I mean,
we'll
if
move.
it was if it was at the front, then I didn't see anything.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
not
there
the front.
was...
You were involved in the battle, I remember.
Ah, okay. You mean when slings and trains were also there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now I remember, yeah. It was kind of exciting. Of course, I was at the front, then Hashim overtook me, I overtook me. Then I let trains pass to see what he can do. And during the scraps, he somewhere ended up behind me again, and then slings apparently spun him out. It's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I was on a soft tire. I was able to outpace Hashim a little bit, and then I just took Aero's DRS to the end.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I think, like I say, you made some good moves today and just kept it clean. And actually, we did put you on the driver of the day poll, so congrats on making
Nice.
it there at least. But yeah, either way, good race from you. And how do you feel about next week in Silverstone?
Boston, I don't know. I mean, it's not a track I myself don't hate the track, but I don't think I'm fast at it. So it will be a weird one. I will just be happy with even 1 point. Just keep it consistent, you know.
Fair enough. All right, Max, you got anything else to anything else to ask?
Yes. You know, this race was 36 laps long, so I wanted to ask you if you could do a top 10 best laps you've done by
I
memory.
would say, okay, yes, I would say in 10th place would be lap 17. Nothing happened, but I just like the number 17 for some reason. In 9th, I would say lap 6, because I was able to keep up quite well. In P8, I would say the first lap, I lost a position, but it was still okay. It was the first lap. It's always exciting. Then in P7, I would pick lap. It's a close one. I would say lap 32, just because. And in P6, I will pick lap 32 again. And into the top, and from top 5 to top 1, it's I would say it's the final lap, because that's where I finish in the points.
Okie dokie. Then, yep, I feel like this is a complete top 10.
Perfect analysis.
Yep, nothing else to add, yeah.
Yeah, couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for that. Okay, well, yeah, good luck with next week then, and hopefully you can have. However, I actually don't know how many laps are at Silverstone. I think it's 26. Hopefully you can have 26, top 26 laps for us next week.
Yeah, remember to rank them.
I'll rank them.
Yeah.
But it would be a problem if I DNF like lap 8
Yeah.
or something.
That's unfortunate. You'll just have to guess for the rest of them. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go then. Thank you for the interview, and good job on P7.
Yep, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
See ya. Very critical information there. Who just joined?
What?
Beblo, why are you here?
I have no clue. I just got dragged in here.
Oh, okay.
What?
Nice. All right. I guess Discord bro. I don't know. I'll put.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks for the cameo. All right. Well, rare Beblo appearance. That's always nice. Let's see if we can do it properly this time and get in. Do we have another driver? We have Blazer, but he is on mute. So in that case, I will go for Tim Leish, and let's see how he feels his race went. Tim Leish, hello. Are you ready for an
Hello.
interview?
Yes.
All right. Well, our tier 2 commentator was in the race today, and yeah, how did you feel the race went? And if you don't mind me asking, first of all, where did you finish?
P13
Okay.
in the end.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely saw you quite a lot through the race. It was, I think, quite a busy one for you. But yeah, how is it from your perspective? And do you think you could have done better?
Well, actually, pace-wise it was not that great, but I had like battles all the way from lap 1 to lap 36, so it was quite fun. So I don't mind the bad result that much.
Fair enough. Yeah, it seemed like a very enjoyable race to be in.
Yeah, it was.
It's good to hear. Yeah, do you think it was? Well, I suppose if the pace just wasn't there, then maybe it was just never points might not have been on the cards then. But yeah, is there anything you'd have done differently about the race?
Yeah, next time not underfueling the car that much.
Okay, I see.
And go for the dry setup next time.
Right. Yeah. Do you compromise it too much then?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, yeah, I suppose it's good to have some lessons to take away then at least. Yeah, how do you feel about next week's race in Silverstone then?
Oof. Well, I hope I will get some points again. I had a little streak now for not scoring points anymore, so I hope I can go back to points again for the next race.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a pretty understandable goal. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't have too much else to ask about from the race. So is there anything you want to tell us about specifically?
No, not actually.
Fair enough.
Was
Right.
fun race, so nothing to complain about. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Max, you got anything to ask?
Could you give us a top 5 race tires you've used this race, like ranked?
Top 5 race tires.
Yes.
So on P1, I would say the full wets.
Alrighty.
Then on second place, the used mediums.
Alright.
Third place, I would say 87% soft.
Wow.
Right.
Then I think it's P4 now, so I would say Inters with 111 degrees temperature.
My God.
All right. Yeah, makes sense.
Some wet setup.
And on last place, what's missing? I think the hearts are missing now, right?
Yeah.
Or you could invent a new tire.
I would say 71 degrees hearts in full wet conditions. That would be that's a dream. Not gonna lie.
Honestly, it sounds like the most normal Tim Blythe strategy to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
All right. Well,
absolute sense.
thank you for your
Yeah.
strategic input. I'll use this to help me win the race tomorrow. And yeah, good luck with next week's race.
Yeah. Thanks. And
ya.
good luck tomorrow for you.
Thank you. All right, and that is going to be potentially all of the interviews. Let me ask in chat. Anyone else want an interview? We'll have to wait and see because there are 2 more drivers in there, but they are both on mute. So let me give them a second. All right, so I've got somebody who wants an interview here. Max, how's the
Hello.
race for you?
Yeah, it was fun. I don't remember entering the race, but yeah, it was fun.
All right, can you give me your top 15 moments ever?
So number 1 is when the rain started, not in the race, but during qualifying. That was a very exciting moment. Then number 2, from number 35, are every time Tamer and Lamau Yes overtaking each other. So I think that's gonna be the whole top 35, 36 moments of the race.
All right, that's great. Good to hear. Now we also have another great driver from this race, Sol, who participated and actually won. Most people didn't notice. Let's get him in. Sol, hello. Congratulations on the race win. How did it go for you?
Thank you. Very well. It was just controlling the race from light to the checkered flags.
Yeah, it seemed like a great drive. You were so fast we couldn't even catch you on the cameras. It was really impressive.
Yeah, I was a couple of laps ahead. I was already at Silverstone.
Yeah, it's easy mistake to make. My fault. I should have got you in first. I sincerely apologize.
The TV director is kind of wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
The graphics.
Whoever does the direction, they should just quit the job. To be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Max, do you have a question?
Why, when you went for the hard tires, when the rain stopped and you had to go for the slick tires?
Yeah.
Did you went for the hards because you were expecting to go to the end with those tires, or were you already thinking about the 2 stops for them?
I was just sandbagging. I wanted to make life a bit difficult.
Oh wait, did I like a little bit?
What?
Wait, my bad. Let me repeat the question then. When you switched to hard tires when the rain stopped,
Yeah.
did you do that expecting to go to the end of the race with those tires, or did you actually plan for a 2 stop strategy?
I mean, it was kind of, I was kind of knowing that there was gonna be a 2-stopper, but since I was so far ahead, I wanted to make it a bit harder for myself, give everyone else a chance to catch up. That's why I went to the hard tire.
Yeah. I mean, the moment when you got the plane back to Austria from Silverstone, just to give everyone a chance, that was pretty hype. When it landed on the back straight, that was pretty awesome. So yeah, I think you did a great job to win this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my final question is, you want to be teammates in the Ferrari 499P?
Yes, I would like to be that.
Awesome. All right. Cool.
Yes.
See you next week.
See ya.
And that concludes all of our wonderful interviews for today. glad we could clear up some really important stuff there. And yeah, with that done, we can move on to our clips for stream segment, of which we seem to have quite a few this time, which is always nice to see. So let's get underway with the first of those, which is going to be from MaxCon. Let's take a look. And predictably, obviously, it's MaxCon. I forgot to turn the volume down, so I got deafened. Alright, there we go. Let's have another look at this one. And this is Hashim getting pushed wide. MaxCon going for the move up the inside into turn 6. Banging tyres, actually, so he went a bit deep there. But then, yeah, gets the move done somewhat cleanly after that. And that's going to be it for the rest of that clip. So, just a nice simple move to start off there, although, I mean, maybe the stewards have something to say about that, I don't know. It was just a minor wheel-to-wheel contact, so I suspect that would be nothing more than a warning. But let's move on to the next clip, which is from, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. It's a Mercedes. I think it's Blazer. Can't be too sure, though. We've got about 3 pixels to work with. And a very interesting camera angle, but either way, this is from lap 35, I think. And heading into turn 1 here. Taken a whole heap of curb on the inside there. That's an interesting line. And on our way up towards turn 2. I suspect this might be... Is this a fairly long clip? No? Okay. Let's see, I think this might be the shenanigans that went on with Leland, and yeah, there we go. So Cooper just lost it initially, and I think then must have tagged Leland whilst he was trying to spin back around. So yeah, that I suppose that clears up what happened there.
Yeah, no contact at least, so I think Blazer can be happy of the fact that he's innocent.
Yeah, be free from any hunting from the stewards. We'll move on to the next clip, which is once again from MaxCon, and this is him just about finding a way through on the inside here, trying to get past Hashim in the Ferrari, but can't quite do it, and Hashim actually goes for a massive dive bomb there, smacks into the side of Tim Bleish, and well, I suppose this is what started the multiple car-wide moment that we saw going on here, and here we go. We've got MaxCon going to one side, he's going to go off to the outside. There's more contact again between Hashim and Tim Bleish, so Tim, I suppose, just getting his revenge there, but it's at his own peril, because up the inside goes MaxCon into turn 6, and yeah, completes a very nice move.
Well, happy that MaxCon actually, kept his nerves and didn't go for something too aggressive, because he would have, kind of regretted it if he did it, but thankfully he didn't, so he survived.
Okay, and the next clip is definitely the next clip is going to be from Elias here, and this is heading up towards turn 3, and I suspect this is going to be the incident with Tamet. Let's have a listen. Oof, yeah, there it is. So that was actually, yeah, I did remember seeing that one. So that was what happened then. I thought Elias had just made a mistake and gone deep, but no, he was completely punted then by the Williams.
Wait, the end of the clip, what the hell?
Hang on, let me play it in full.
What the fuck? What happened?
I don't quite remember.
Whoa.
And
okay.
And someone else going into the wall, but alright.
Yeah. So well, I suppose that explains why. Yeah, I did remember Tamet dropped quite a lot of places. He dropped all the way back to P6, so maybe that's why then. That's him and Loris just making contact and getting sent off into the wall. I am amazed that neither of them got damage from that. It's very lucky for both of those guys, but unfortunately not particularly lucky for Elias, who, yeah, innocent bystander there. And we've got another one from him here. And this is heading towards turn 6. Yeah, sorry, towards turn 3, and I suspect this is going to be the incident with Loris, is it? Let's see. Gets stopped, and no, this might just be a clean move. Afari tries to switch back, but can't find any way through. Now heading down towards turn 4. Is Afari going to send it? Elias is already quite late on the brakes anyway. Afari has a little luck, but can't find a way through, so just a nice clean move there. And another one from Elias, which is going to be... Hang on, let me see. Alright, next one from Elias is going to be into turn 3 once again. This time it's with Loris on the outside, and... Okay, never mind, I've apparently played the first clip. Oh well. Okay.
Oh well, it happens.
Very talented streamer. Yeah, let me switch back, find the actual next one, because I do think he had another one. Yes, he did. Alright, let's take a look at this. And this one is, once again, heading up to turn 3, having a look to the inside of Bimpo, too late on the brakes, gets switchbacked. And then it's just a bit of a drag race, although, yeah, Elias does have the DRS here. You can hear, obviously, Llewellyn in the call. Probably not having the best time. But, yeah, Elias making a nice little move to get into P1.
Yes.
Next up is Elias once again. That's yeah, we don't normally get too many clips from him, so I suppose enjoy it while it lasts. And this one, wow, who'd have guessed? Heading up towards turn 3. See what happens this time, and yeah, there's the incident with Loris, and then yeah, before he can even do anything about it, gets tagged around by Tama. So yeah, just an unfortunate incident there for him. And Loris just misjudging it.
Yeah, sadly this was out of his control, but you know, it happens sometimes.
And that is going to be it for the clips for stream. And actually, Blazer, I think wants an interview. He must have missed my message, so never mind. Let's get Blazer in. If he's still here. Hang on. Blazer, hello. Hello, you there?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, apologies for not getting you in. I did ask if anyone else wanted an interview, but I didn't see if you replied to that. But yeah, anyway, we got you here now at least. Let me switch to the right scene. Alright, so...
I didn't notice that. But, yeah.
Yeah, so how did the race go for you then? And yeah, you actually ended up P10 like you say, so how did it go?
Somehow I got points. Probably my best race of the season between tier 1 and tier 2. I boxed at the normal time, basically with the rest of the field, to get off the inters, and I just stayed on the hards for the rest of the race, which that was scary. Towards the end, Cooper was flying on me for those points. And then Cooper just bottled it with 2 laps to go, and I ended up stealing that P10.
Yeah, nice. So I guess just a case of keeping it clean then for you for most of the race. And yeah, able to get yourself P10. Unfortunately, still obviously.
I got to witness the the best battle of the entire race when there were like 6 cars just.
Oh yeah, I imagine you must have been a little bit further back in that, so you had the I suppose the best seat to see that. So how did that look for you?
It looked great. It only happened just because all the guys who had boxed were coming up on me and Tim, and Tim was racing them very aggressive. I was kind of letting them by, but yeah, I got to have a great seat because of that.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. Then you got to have at least a fun race as well, and finishing in the points. Obviously, reserves don't get points anymore, but still, you can know in your heart that you got that P10, and it was a well-earned one as well. So good job with that. And I will ask as well. You have any plans to return to Tier 1 with reserving again in future?
Well, I mean, I'll probably just stay as a reserve because I can't make these races most of the time. But on these one-offs when I can, it's very nice.
Alright, fair enough. Well, in that case, yeah, good job on this race, and hopefully we get to see you back in Tier 1 again soon. Max, do you have anything else to ask?
Yeah, I was going to ask an interesting question, but I forgot, so...
So you forgot it?
Yep, I forgot.
Unfortunate. It happens to the best of us. Alright, well, in that case, Blazer, I'll let you go, and yeah, good luck with the Tier 2 race tomorrow as well.
Thanks.
Alright, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and that is going to be it properly this time for the interviews. although I have heard that there was an extra clip from Tim Blaish that we do need to go and check out. So let me see if I can find that one, because I'm not seeing it. There we go. Okay, up at the top. Yeah, we have a Twitch clip from Tim Blaish and also one from Bablo as well, which I think is just from the actual stream. So we'll skip that one, but let's take a look at what Tim has for us here. This is from lap 11 of the race. Following Leland here, switching to the inside. And is he going to go for it on Cooper as well? He is. Can he get it stopped? Not quite. Runs off the track. It was a very bold move, but he's actually, by the looks of things, going to hold the position. So, I mean, I suppose, in fairness, yeah, all credit to him. It made the move work by some miracle. I don't know. Good job.
Well, that's really actually a good move, in my opinion.
Yeah, can't say anything wrong with that. I mean, maybe the stewards will investigate him for gaining an advantage off the track, but I'll leave that up to them to decide. To me, it seemed like a well-executed dive bomb, I guess. So, yeah, that's gonna be where we wrap things up for today then. So, I think it was once again a very, very enjoyable race to commentate, especially from my side. I can only hope it was the same for you. But yeah, I mean, do you want to give us some concluding statements, I suppose?
Well, I was expecting a catastrophe, and we actually got a nice race, so I don't actually know what to expect next week, so all I can do is, well, stay tuned and find out. And I think this is also what everyone watching this stream right now should do. So all I can say is see you next time around.
Alright, well, with that said and done, I couldn't agree more. We are going to be back in a week's time at Silverstone for what should be, once again, a very entertaining race. Silverstone, much like Austria, does not disappoint in league racing, so you'll definitely want to be here for that. And yeah, until then, we have Tier 2 action this time tomorrow night, and I will be racing in that as always, so I'll do my best to provide you, hopefully, something close to as good entertainment as this. So tune in then to see how that goes. We do have a very active title fight there. And yeah, until then, we'll see you in a week's time. Good night.